Thoughts of our Divine Mother from the book The Mother by our Lord Sri Aurobindo with the Mother's Comments of 1954. Comments on chapter 3, page 148. Mother says, which of you didn't ask questions last time? The first one. Question: what is the difference between the divine, spiritual and supramental truth, sweet mother? Mother says, I don't think there is much difference. Question: sweet mother, what does a candid faith mean? Mother says, candid? It is simple, sincere, does not doubt. We speak mostly of the candor of a child who has a simple faith without any doubts. Question: sweet mother, do we push the divine grace away from us every time we make a mistake? Mother says, you push it away every time you make a mistake? Well, there are two kinds of mistakes. There is a fault committed through ignorance that remains a fault. It puts a veil between the grace and you, but it is a fault made without knowing that one is making a mistake. But as soon as one knows that it is a mistake, one must absolutely refrain from making it, because each time one makes it, it is true that one builds a wall between oneself and the divine grace. Mother says there is a very big difference between mistake made through ignorance, which one will not make again as soon as one knows it is a mistake, and the mistake made knowing that it is a mistake, and this indeed is called obstinacy, and this is more serious. It is even more serious. It wields the consciousness very much, wields it so much that after some time no longer one knows at all that one is making mistakes. One makes them thinking that he doesn't. One gives so many excuses and justifications for everything he does that he ends up believing that he is no longer making any mistakes at all. Then here it becomes very serious, because one is incorrigible. Question: mother, sweet mother, what does an egoistic faith tainted by ambition mean? For this, our Divine Mother says, yes, for instance, if one wants to become somebody very important, to have a very high position or attract the admiration of people around him, to become a great sadhak, a great sannyasi, a great yogi, etc., somebody quite important, that is called having faith full of ambition. You have the faith that this may happen, you have the faith in the divine, but it is for your own small personal vain glory. And this is no longer something pure, sincere and true. It is something that's entirely for the personal profit. Naturally, there is no question in this of any self-giving. It is a hoarding of forces as much as possible for you to hoard them. That is to say, the very opposite of the true movement. This happens most often than one would think. This movement of ambition is often hidden right in the depths of the being. It pushes you like this from behind. It whips you so that you get on. It is a kind of veiled pride. Question: sweet mother, why do these people receive the force since the divine knows that they are not sincere? For this, our Divine Mother says, listen, my child, the divine never goes by human notions in his ways of acting. You must get that well into your head once and for all. He probably does things without what we call reasons. But anyway, if he has reasons, they are not the same as human reasons, and certainly he doesn't have the sense of justice as it is understood by men. For example, you imagine very easily that a man who is craving for wealth and tries to deceive people in order to get money, according to your idea of justice, this man ought to be deprived of all his wealth and reduced to poverty. We find that usually just the opposite happening. But that, of course, is only a matter of appearance. Behind the appearances, there is something else. He exchanges this only for other possibilities. He may have money but he has no longer has a conscience. And in fact, what almost always happens is that when he has the money he desired, he's not happy, and the more he has, usually the less happy he is. He's tormented, you see, by the wealth he has gained. You must not judge things, says her Divine Mother. You must not judge things from an outer success or a semblance of defeat. You may say, and generally this is what always or almost always happens, we could say that the Divine gives what one desires, and of all lessons, this is the best. For if your desire is inconscient, obscure, egoistic, you increase the unconsciousness, the darkness and egoism within yourself. That is to say, this takes you far away from truth, from consciousness and happiness. It takes you far away from the divine also. And for the divine, naturally, the only one thing is true, the divine consciousness, the divine union. And each time you put material things in front, you become more and more materialistic and go farther and farther away from the actual full success. But for the truth that other success is a terrible defeat, you may have exchanged truth for falsehood. To judge from appearance and apparent success is precisely an act of complete ignorance, even for the most hardened man for whom something is apparently being successful. Even for him, there is always a counterpart, and this kind of hardening of the being which is produced, this wheel which is formed, a thicker wheel between the outer consciousness and the inner truth, becomes one day or another altogether intolerable. It is usually paid for very dearly. Outer success, mother's voice becomes extremely deep. One must be very great, very pure, and have a very disinterested spiritual consciousness in order to be successful without being affected by it. Nothing is more difficult than being successful. This indeed is the true test of life. When you do not succeed, quite naturally you turn back on yourself, and within yourself you seek within yourself the consolation for your outer failure. And to those who have a flame within them, if the divine really wants to help them, if they are mature enough to be helped, if they are ready to follow the path, blows will come one after another, because this helps. It is the most powerful, the most direct, most effective help. If you succeed, be on your guard. Ask yourself, at what price, what cost have I bought success? I hope it is not a step towards. There are those who have gone beyond this, those who are conscious of their soul, those who have given themselves entirely, those who have, as I said, are absolutely pure, disinterested, and can succeed without its affecting and touching them. Here then it is different, but one must be very high to be able to bear success, and after that it is perhaps the last test which the divine gives to anyone. Now that you are noble, you are disinterested, you have no egoism, you belong only to me, I am going to make you triumph. We are going to see if you will hold out. In what way is the next question? In what way does the divine Shakti act against the Asuras? For this, mother says, I don't hear a thing. Acts against the Asuras? Why do you want to know that? It's interesting, mother laughs. Perhaps to them also she gives what they want to have. And usually this hastens the end. There are Asuras and Asuras, that is to say, no. The Asuras are Asuras, but they are all those who come out of them who are beings of an inferior kind. An Asura is generally a conscious being. He knows he has an end. He knows that the attitude he has taken up in the universe is bound to destroy him for a certain time. Naturally, the time of an Asura is extremely long if we compare it with the lifetime of a man. But still, he knows that there is an end because he he has cut off himself from the eternity, and so he tries to realize his plan as totally as he can until the day of his complete defeat. And it is possible that if he allowed to do it, the defeat will come sooner. It is perhaps for this reason that at a time greater things are about to be accomplished, it is at this time that the adverse forces are more active, more violently active, and apparently the most fully successful. This seems to be a clear field. It is perhaps in order that these things may be more rapidly finished.